I don't like the vintage watch market. There are a few reasons for that, but it really comes down to two kinds of vintage watches that I see out there. The first group are watches from brands that are now considered prestigious: Rolex, Omega, Patek Philippe, and so on. These are the ones that actually interest me, the ones I'd gladly own, if only they didn't cost absurd money. And when I compare those old models to their modern counterparts, the quality gap is enormous, yet somehow the vintage ones are often more expensive. They're the perfect example of what's broken in this hobby: watches whose value is built entirely on speculation. Sure, sometimes rarity plays a role, but come on, what's rare about a Submariner or a Datejust? This is a market that behaves like crypto: volatile, emotional, and irrational. I can appreciate the charm of old design, but not the prices that come with it. The second group are watches from brands that didn't survive, or that changed direction completely. Brands that used to make serious watches but today live in a completely different segment. And I know perfectly well that this side of the vintage world hides incredible treasures, watches that match or even exceed their better-known peers, yet cost a fraction of the price. But these are collectors' choices, connoisseurs' watches. And I'm just not that guy. I've never had a problem admitting my limitations, and one of them is this: brands matter to me. I want a watch from a name I care about. And I look at that name through the lens of what it represents today, not what it meant 70 years ago. So obscure, forgotten brands, not for me. Which means, by definition, the vintage market just isn't my playground. Uniqueness costs a fortune, and the affordable options don't capture my imagination. But, as always, there are exceptions. And today, I want to show you one of them, a watch that's a piece of history, that offers stunning quality, was made by a respected brand, designed by a legend, powered by an exceptional movement, and yet can still be found for a shockingly low price. This is the Universal Genève White Shadow. Let's start with what everyone notices first: the resemblance to the Patek Philippe golden ellipse. The White Shadow is often called the poor man's ellipse, but the surprising truth is that Gian-Daniele Rubelli, the man behind the golden ellipse, was actually inspired by the White Shadow, which in turn was designed by none other than Gérald Genta, and that's not where the inspiration ends. Inside, the White Shadow beats the beautiful caliber 266 with a micro-rotor. Its creator, Gérard Beret, was later recruited by Patek Philippe, where he designed the now famous caliber 240, also a micro-rotor movement that powered the golden ellipse for decades. The similarities are striking. There's no doubt one led directly to the other. So yes, today people call the White Shadow a cheaper alternative to the ellipse, but historically it's the other way around. It's the watch Patek took inspiration from. The movement itself, like the watch, is a child of the 1950s, a response to that era's desire for ultra-thin automatic watches. Even after 60 years, it's still an impressive piece of engineering. I'd say it's one of the most beautiful movements you can get for this kind of money. And not just beautiful, still well made by modern standards. For me, that movement alone justifies buying the watch. Now, about the case. Size is another reason why I'm not too fond of vintage. Old school proportions rarely fit my taste. I prefer watches at least 36mm and up. But the White Shadow gets around that problem brilliantly. Its shape, that soft ellipse, makes it exist outside of traditional sizing rules. It's not too small, not too big. It just feels right. The case measures 34mm tall, 31 wide, and only 6mm thick. The bracelet starts at 21mm and tapers down to 15. I tried to find a comparison, something that wears similarly, but I couldn't. It wears like nothing else. Jewelry-like, yet incredibly comfortable. I know most of you probably don't need such an elegant watch. You don't wear suits to work and you might not have many formal occasions. But I've been wearing dress watches casually for years, with jeans, t-shirts, hoodies even, and I honestly recommend it. An elegant watch is an accessory. You can wear it anytime, anywhere. It never ruins your outfit. More often, it makes it better. People wear smart watches with suits, yet they hesitate to wear a thin dress watch with jeans. That's ridiculous. So, in case anyone needed permission, here it is, you have it. Wear your dress watches with jeans. You'll look great. Universal Genève is one of those brands that didn't survive the quartz crisis the way it should have. Before that, they were one of the great innovators of Swiss watchmaking, positioned just below the top-tier houses. But when the era of batteries came, UG couldn't adapt. They never truly disappeared. They released the occasional watch, but it was a ghost of its former self. The cult of the brand was kept alive only by enthusiasts and collectors, drawn to pieces like the Tri-Compact's chronographs or Genta's designs like the Polar Outer and, of course, the White Shadow. That might be about to change. At the end of 2023, Universal Genève was acquired by Breitling, and according to Breitling's CEO, the brand will return as a high-end manufacturer, positioned even above Breitling itself. Real haute horlogerie. And if I had to guess, a micro-rotor caliber will be the backbone of the new UG lineup. If that plan works, these old white shadows will suddenly become very interesting to collectors. And the days when you could find one for around 1,000 euros will be gone forever. As for prices, everything depends on the dial and, of course, the condition. The most affordable versions have white dials with printed Roman numerals. Those start around 1,000 euros. Slightly rarer and more desirable are the ones like mine, with a silver or grey sunburst dial and applied indices. Even rarer are blue dials, and the true unicorn is the steel model with the black dial. Almost impossible to price, but definitely not cheap. There's also a gold-plated version, the Gilt Shadow, usually around 2,500 euros. Take those numbers as rough references. Some of you asked if this watch marks a change in my attitude toward vintage. I wish I could say yes, but no. This is one of those rare exceptions that slip through my filter. If the watch world is a swamp full of traps, then the vintage market is a minefield. Navigating it properly takes experience, and I just don't have the desire to learn that terrain. I admire those who do, but I'll keep my focus on more modern pieces. Thanks for watching. See you next time.